Mr. Gibson, you have your 3 minutes now.
Thank you. Good evening, brothers and sisters. My name is Mark Gibson, better known to all as Gibby. I'm the UAW shop chairperson, Detroit Diesel Corporation. I'm a proud member of Local 163 out of Region 1A. I come out of, I've served 3 terms. I'm going to my 4th term, 5th term will be next year. I started in 2011 as the shop chairperson. Like I said, I was fortunate to be elected 3 consecutive terms thereafter. I am part of a strong family unit that has many union members, from my grandfather, who was a Ford employee out of Local 245, to my Uncle Walt, who was a Detroit Diesel employee, a tinsmith, tin knocker, and our EAP rep out of Local 163. My cousin Shelly, she's a pipe fitter with another local. I also have my 3 sons now at Detroit Diesel, proud members of 163, along with my 2 nephews, proud members of Local 163. My wife of 24 years, my high school sweetheart, known as Mrs. Catherine, but better known as Kat. She's a teacher and also a proud union member. We have 5 children, 3 boys, 3 of which are now working as apprentices at Detroit Diesel, and my twin daughters who just started middle school, which for some of the guys know that's 6th grade nowadays, news to me. My father, who also was a Detroit Diesel retiree, worked both in salary and hourly. He lives with us. He has Alzheimer's, was diagnosed at 68. We've had him with us for years now, and he enjoys the boat. Thank you all for signing in tonight. I truly hope this forum provides you with some great insight of my philosophy, some of my experiences, and my leadership style. In just 2, actually 3 contracts at Detroit Diesel, one of which was the 2016 agreement, which was widely hailed as the best in the UAW, and an extension in 21, and a recently ratified 2022 agreement. My bargaining team and I have supported our members, listened, and turned our once divided and disappointed membership into a successful plant with proud UAW members. Our members now have a true path to full parity in just 5 years, which is actually the conclusion of their 5th, which would be 6th, with the highest assembly wage in the entire UAW structure, a generous 401k match for all employees, and the return of subcredits for all members, which took me 11 years to get that back, by the way, with the help of the members. I want to add that. We have made innovative contractual gains. However, significant and historical gains have also been made outside of the contract by listening to the membership and ultimately getting their approval, such as the elimination of Tier 2. I had that working outside of the contract when I came into office in 11, had effectively worked with my membership and abolished it by 2013. Our process was later replicated by others in the UAW, which is outstanding. I love to hear that. They don't have to give credit, but we all know where it comes from. And again, I'm very aggressive. I facilitated inverse layouts.
Time, please wrap up in 10 seconds.
Gotcha. Securing new work and just a few other ones to mention a few. I'm a leader and committed to ensuring that the most knowledgeable and respectful experts for all sectors are always around me and working collectively to get the job done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Gibson, what experience do you have negotiating contracts? And what experience do you have that might assure UAW members that you would know how to run a large organization like the UAW?
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Bottom line, I came in 11. My experience is that I've worked outside of just where Detroit Diesel stood with. Detroit Diesel was GM. Okay, we have a GM contract bought by Roger Penske, who I'm still in contact with, who was the owner of our facility. He's one of our #1 customers to this date. As we keep moving forward, it's sold to Chrysler, which I understand that Chrysler heartache because we inherited that mess. I know how to deal with the world leadership abroad. Chrysler sold it to Daimler. Okay, now the Daimler leadership is German leadership. That's how Brother Curry and I have met. But what people don't know is also that I'm close with Gary Castile, who was the director out of 8. After meeting Gary Castile, who was the Secretary of Treasury at the time, he reached out to me after 1 trip alone to Germany to see how I dealt with the World Committee, which is different sectors of every. There's two people, car division, one for the truck division, to go abroad. Bottom line is he reached out to me. What would I do differently down in the South, down in Alabama, because we're so organized up here in Detroit and how we're facilitating things. I reached out to him since. He's still very good friends with Ray, which is no disrespect. God bless those guys. But at the end of the day, I have the know-how. I have the leadership abroad, which is very helpful in everything I do. But I have the leadership here. I reached out to the Bob Kings, the Rory Gambles, anyone that would take my call that facilitated me. The 3 contracts speak for themselves. I can let them speak for themselves as people go on. But one other thing I want to talk about was retirees. We don't negotiate the pensions at the end of the day when they're outside. But what I was able to do for our retirees that were left behind back in 16, before my time, I'm sorry, back earlier than that, the 04 group, 1,000 people lost their medical benefits, okay? But the bottom line is I came back in 16 with my committee, was able to get them medical options, was able to get them more options in the extension, and even have more options for them now as we finish our 22 agreement, and that involves our care here, which is on site. So thank you for taking the time to listen.
Thank you very much. No responses. So next question for Mark Gibson. Mr. Gibson, in your campaign material, you state that you've been a 4-term shop chairperson for the Detroit Diesel Local 163, a local with, I believe, 3,300 members. Why have you chosen to run for the presidency of the UAW for the union's very top position, rather than, say, to be a regional director or to be one of the 3 vice presidents? If you're elected president of the UAW, won't you need to do a lot of learning on the job?
Thanks, Stephen. Why I decided. There was a lot of factors, but some recent developments, we lost our respect. I mean, I know that doesn't have to do with exactly everyone that's in office right now. I'm not critical of Ray. I've known Ray for over a decade. I've had Chuck Browning as my director. Obviously, my expert tutelage really came from Rory Gamble under his leadership. For years, I was with him. And I do have the experience. I've seen it. I've been offered 3 positions with the International Union, and I respectfully declined. And I think that made our unit a lot stronger at Detroit Diesel. We had a cohesive unit. They've always assured me they want to pull, they pull strong people. And I get that. And that's a compliment to anyone, and I appreciate what everyone's trying to do. But I thought my best position was to stay with Detroit Diesel like I have. We've evolved. We've gained membership. We've increased to 3 full shifts. We're actually 1,400 members at Detroit Diesel. There's 400 other members at a unit called Detroit Axle, which was separated by Chrysler back when they bought it from Roger Penske. We also had Purim. I've evolved that. I've taken these groups and evolved them. I've even evolved further with the liners that we were going to lose to China because the inferior metal. We proved that with my elected guys, my appointed guys. I have an excellent team. But we just recently, which people don't know about, is I've expanded from Detroit and Redford, Michigan, where Detroit Diesel is, into Livonia, Michigan, where I grew up. How did we do that? We took the warehouse, the work that was pushed out of my facility. We intentionally were working on it in 16. We always had the eyes to gain that work at the top wage, just like I did when I brought turbos into the plant, replaced Purim. I've been through the whipsawing with Tulane, Utah, with Detroit Diesel. And again, I'm down to 2 units, and we're going to gladly work together with us and Axle, Detroit Diesel. We're one big happy family. Eventually, we'll be 1,800 members out of that facility. And then we also have a smaller group that's a different region, Local 412. Again, separate, but that's our salary engineers, great guys. We work together all the time. But that's my ask. And like I said, I also have my 3 sons in that
Please wrap
facility,
up.
along with my nephews. So take that for what it's worth. Family.
Thank you. Mr. Gibson, you have a minute, and don't forget to unmute.
Lowering the hand too. On the no concessions, I think I've already shown that I've went through very tricky folks with a pension, folks without a pension, the 401ks, things I inherited from the 98 agreement, which was a 13-year agreement. It is tricky. I mean, am I going to lay down my strategy? I've had members ask me at unit meetings the same thing. And I go, no, there's things I do that I think are unprecedented. One example I will give, though, of how I've done stuff is I intentionally brought my members back to the table because the company didn't answer something in this last set of agreement. And I don't know, I told my committee, whatever happens on this, okay, it's on me. My members heard me loud and clear at that table. I didn't get the answers. The company thought they had a TA. Well, they didn't answer some questions about our payroll system that I knew was like we get almost a free bite of the apple, the way I looked at it. My members listened to me turn that contract down 70-30-ish. Month later, back up the other way, 70-30. To me, that was profound, but you had to do it. Okay, even with the threats of an unfair labor practice from the company, they didn't answer the questions. I told my members, this is what we need to do. They trusted me in my committee, and that's what I will bring to the entire UAW.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Gibson, I believe you have a hand up. Please unmute.
Thanks, Stephen. I just wanted to talk real quick about, answer a little bit of that. It's not about abolishing the entire UAW. And it's unfair to say, you know, the leadership that's in there right now is completely corrupt. What happened with Gary Jones is just abysmal. You know, he brought people into some corruption. I knew I had an eerie feeling with his ass when I met him with Rory Gamble, and when I felt it should have been probably Gary Castile moving into that role. Now, that's just my opinion as a young guy, maybe in 2018, I'm not that young, but bottom line, it's about organizing. And I go, we still need to organize some of the Southern plants. And again, I love those guys. They're my brothers. I'm connected to them through what we do in our industry. The powertrain's built in Detroit. It goes down south. I just came back from a BET conference, a bus engine truck with Ray Kerr was down there. But when it came to money, I haven't been paid by the UAW. I'm paid by Detroit Diesel, always been. When we were in receivership, we paid money out of our own pocket to go on trips. People know this. This isn't something, you know, I take this seriously. My bargaining committee takes it seriously. I've had members come and go in different elected positions, but they've done it on their own. So we're not looking to take money.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mr. Gibson, you have a minute to respond.
Lower the hand. Okay. Bottom line, what I'm looking at there is all the sectors have to be accounted for, right? So we're looking at the higher ed, we're looking at the top agricultural implementation workers, aerospace, the casino workers, and the nurses. You build the trust. The same reason I was touching on why Gary Castile had approached me. I know what it was. It's just dealing with, you know, different cultures abroad in Germany. You know, folks from Spain, Argentina. You know, there's strength in numbers. And I know that the UAW for a while back did talk with the IG Metall union. You know, they shut the country down over there. We have to have that trust. All I ask for down the road is that the members are going to support their president and their board. I mean, that's all I can ask, right? But at the end of the day, I'll give them 100%, but every sector has to be represented. And that's the bottom line. And so I will instill a team with me because, again, I don't know every sector, every detail, but at the end of the day, every sector has to be represented wholeheartedly. And that's my goal. And it's honesty.
Thank you. Mr. Gibson, you have your hand up. You have a minute.
Thank you, Stephen. The electric jobs, bottom line, where we went, we had Gretchen Whitmer came in, the governor of the state of Michigan. She did a state of the state address just due to the leadership with our advancement in the electrical, the heavy truck industry, the heavy battery, and the e-axle, the electric axle. We started those talks in 2017, 2016, 2017. With an $11 million investment. We've already touched into the E4 lab with our brothers over there in 412 that are working on the electric truck hot testing. So again, like President Curry did say, was that we haven't lost anything. We're evolving. We're making these agreements. That was something I tied up in the plan in 2019 in December before we ran into the COVID. But that is something we've had the foresight to be ahead of it, and we're going to continue to be ahead of the curve. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Question for Mr. Gibson, Mark Gibson. And this comes from a UAW member. Mr. Gibson, retirees have not received a pay increase, a pension increase, and I don't think in over 15, maybe 20 years. With the cost of living rising, will you be fighting to get them a pay raise? And I'm not talking about an extra 100 a month. And how would you achieve a pay raise for them? I think you're on mute.
Yeah, no, that was for retirees, Stephen?
Yes.
Okay, well, legally, I mean, we know how that works. I'm all for getting retirees money, but legally on the pension, there are restrictions on that we cannot do. But each one of the contracts I've been part of was what I was illustrating in my opener, was that I've been fortunate enough with my committee that had parents that lost medical benefits, that lost certain perks in retirement, that we were able to gain perks back. It goes into your Christmas bonuses, right? But bottom line for us was the medical, which was big because our folks lost what was guaranteed to them for years on this their post-65 healthcare. And we've worked hard to get options for them, so to speak. I was able to clear out the VIVA fund, get them their money out of probably, I think it was around 1.7 million that was divvied up amongst all those the members specifically. So again, I do look out for the retirees. I absolutely hear them loud and clear. I'm tight with the retirees out of Detroit Diesel and GM. I will do what it takes, but also I'm sure I'll have plenty of suggestions. I'm sure I'll hear from a lot of members of ideas, but whatever I can do legally, I will do.
Thank you. Mr. Gibson, your 30 seconds of rebuttal time.
Okay, I just want to touch on again, some of the legality. Again, the simple facts are the retirees at 600,000, they're the majority. I mean, they did build it. They built all of us. I have nothing but to thank for my grandfather and my friends' grandfathers. I love Pretty Willie, if anyone knows Detroit, and President Obama talked highly of him. But in a nutshell, my guys that are in the plant, their families were affected. I am dealing with a lot of second and third generations. So again, I have received pension increases against all odds. I was able to do that in 16. Now, was there pension increases for the rank and file that are in the plant? But again, it was something I had to get out of the way that I was told I couldn't do. I did it in 16 and I did it again in 22. And I will keep doing it. And I will look for options with the membership, the entire membership, to figure out what we can do to keep people living and at least get what they were entitled to, what they were promised at these companies. And I will go to all ends to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mr. Gibson, you have your hand up. You have a minute to respond.
Yeah, just briefly touch on it. Because again, well, Will said something interesting, about the Western and Germany, and I just want to touch on the E.G. Mattel. I brought ideas over there. I think most of the rank and file, especially in Detroit, the Indianas, they all get it. Bottom line, guys, they love working Sunday. It's double time. It was unheard of in Germany. They do it now. Why? Double time is double time. It's always optional too. We all know that. But at the end of the day, people are taking ideas, and that's the way I like to see it. I'm giving ideas abroad, things that were, back in the day, we were in our own little box. Now with social media, everything gets global, but I get a chance to travel and do these things abroad. But when you say like someone might get they're going to tell you to get lost, I'm living proof they won't tell you to get lost. But the companies have expectations too. Let's not be naive. There's a reason I grew up with an owner named Roger Penske, and I do look up to a guy like that. When I was 18 years old and came into a facility as a guard, earning my undergrad, paying for my own school at Eastern Michigan. They didn't tell me to get lost. I worked with them and showed them the value of why the worker next to you not making that money, the animosity it created, and the company bought into that logic. You have to be able to convey that to the corporate leadership.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gibson, you have a minute to respond.
Sorry. My wife, who's the teacher, is right next to me with a master's degree. So she's, on top of me as always, because again, she's a strong leader as well. Very opinionated, but just like I want to go back to Castile, what was going to be my vision? What would I do differently down there in the South in Alabama to organize that Mercedes plant? What I told them is I would take my women, the strongest women, and I have some very strong leadership. I love them. My benefits rep, Tony Massey, Dione. I got experts in FMLA. I got experts in attendance. I got Elfrida. I mean, there's women, if I don't mention their name, I just love them like peaches. But women are strong. The only reason I sit in this seat as a 4-term chairman is because of women. I listen to them. I understand it. Are we equal? Well, in the grand scheme of things, yes. But when it comes down to jobs, my membership, the males, we all pick up the slack for each other. This will be no different as we go into other leadership roles. But I care about the women. I love the women. And again, that is why I sit where I sit today, is because of females. So, and good luck to Margaret Mock. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Time. Next question from Mark Gibson. Mr. Gibson, in your campaign material, you say that you eliminated the Tier 2 system at Detroit Diesel, and you say you were the first in the UAW to accomplish the elimination of Tier 2. How did you achieve that? And if elected president of the UAW, what would you do to try to get Detroit's big three automakers and other UAW employers to eliminate the tiered wage system?
Gotcha. Thank you. Yes, I was the first, and that's not even the platform I ran on. By happenstance, I came into the plant under a progression as a 4.5-year person, even though I worked there in 90. But in 97, I hired in. A year later, the progression, the tier had changed. No pension, a 13-year possible growing. We didn't even get to vet that out till 04. How did I end it? Well, I got elected. At one point, I was a committee man. I worked next to the employees. I watched the heartache, but I also watched the members grow with me. Guys that hired in 5 years, 6 years, 7 years before my time. Guys that came from the GM facilities or were moved into the Detroit Diesel factory. We worked together collectively, that entire membership, to move the bar from the 13, which was the end of 14, down to the 11 years, down to that 1 year extension. I was able to shave another year off. Do I do it by myself? No, I do it with my bargaining committee, good ideas, and just an attitude that I won't stop until it's right. And now we're at a point where they will conclude, like I said, they're 6 years from a hiring from 22, they're going to top wage, which is over 36.86 by 2028, and actually 2027 in some cases. So that's how I'll do it. But it comes down to, yes, I want to apply that logic. We didn't have temps. We worked with summer help. I don't believe in necessarily having temps all over the place. I stood with those guys on that strike line at GM in 19. And that was hard to listen to, but I understood it. There's good leadership over there in GM, Romulus. There's good leadership all over. I know what the leadership does. I know what we're up against. But again, we have great leaders in these positions. And at the end of the day, the rank and file have to, this is one thing I haven't heard, the rank and file have to ratify an agreement. The last I checked, okay, I can bring it to them, and I always will bring it to my team and to the membership, of course, to the absolute governing body. We take their demands. We take the demands resolution, but it's demands. What do you want? 9 times out of 10, I know what they're asking for, right? I've been with my plan a long time. It's the same thing that the rest of the country is asking for. Will I apply that philosophy? I'll leave you with one thing. My one committee man who helped me along the way, young guy, Jason Hibbler. I said, Jay, this is massive. It's a massive task. Apply the principles you applied to the 1,400 members here and just expand on that. And that's what my commitment is.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gibson, you have 30 seconds to respond.
Yeah, like at the tier, I know he sits on a tier and benefits. Our benefits are all the same, with the exception there is a different program for a pension versus a 401k. And in 1997, when I first came in, like I said, it was a year later, 1998, I sat in an office, listened to how it was sold to me by a committee, but at the end of the day, we got to vote on that. That contract was passed at 80-20, 80% 20. I was young and I asked, hey, I want to get under that program. I got a year under a pension. How do I get on that program? You're touting so good. It ended up being that program is very good. My sons have came in and it's a phenomenal program. Now I understand everyone wants a pension, but there's also programs. It's not a teacher pension. Our supplement goes away at 62 in 1 month. You know, that's if you don't retire with the traditional 30 and out, the 85 points to 60 and 10.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gibson, you have a minute to respond.
Thank you. You know, I'm as an individual leader that I like to think the glass is half full. You know, we're here to unify, not divide. Our foundation is solid. Our Constitution is solid. We need just to gain the respect and trust back of the members that they deserve. They are the governing body. But I would like to quote Walter Reuther. Okay, there is no power in the world that can stop the forward march of free men and women when they are joined in solidarity of human brotherhood. Walter P. Reuther. And those words stand so true today. So, like I said, elected, you know, I'll be there for every member, you know, period. God bless.
Okay. Now, Mr. Gibson, you have 3 minutes to make the final closing statement.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank you, Brother Stephen, for keeping the forum moving along, making it fair for all the candidates, and thank you to all the candidates. Obviously, you all have good ideas. Obviously, I probably agree with a few other ones, you know, that I've dealt with for years, and I know how the institution works and how we need to gain back the respect for our members. But from my conversations with the members during this campaign, obviously the trends have started to emerge. We had heard them throughout this forum. I truly feel I am the candidate to restore the trust, the pride, and the integrity. My bargaining team and I, which we are an own national team, were the first to eliminate the tiered wages in the heavy truck sector from a 13-year progression that only reached $24 an hour to a 5-year progression and the highest current assembly pay rate in the UAW at $36.83 by May of 2027. Further, by the end of the master agreement, May of 2028, every member currently employed, even those hired this week, will be at the full pay rate of their classification. I encourage you all to view my experiences, my qualifications, okay, the contract agreements, the highlights, what I've negotiated with my membership and my bargaining team that has been elected. Okay, Facebook page, it's Mark Gibby Gibson, or my website, which is gibbynow2022.com. But listen, honestly, at the end of the day, I can say what I can say, but what's going to be more profound is you've heard me this evening. You can read my material. What is most important to me is that you hear from the members in my plant, in the facility, people that I have represented. You can view testimonials from UAW 163 members, both active and retired. So many reached out when I shared the nomination and the acceptance for the UAW president. The members wanted to have their voices heard, and I'm sharing their voices with you now. Go to my platforms and view the testimonials from the UAW 163 members, both active and retired. Again, the nomination, I'm the strongest candidate. You'll still see videos that are coming in currently. I'm the strongest candidate. I have an experience you're looking for, the global connections. Most importantly, I have a persistent leadership style that will address any suggestions that come my way. So many have said, no way, Gibby, that will ever happen. You can't get that. They will never agree. I have proven them wrong time and time again. Brothers and sisters, this is a historic one man, one vote election. Know that you will have a strong candidate in all sectors with the one man, one vote, experienced leader, ready to lead all sectors of this fine union. Listen to those testimonials. Understand that I'm not there to hurt people. I have a gentleman that I beat all the way back in 2011, the ex-chairman, that puts a testimonial down that he didn't have to do to talk about his experience as a 40-year member and how I beat him and how I treated him with respect and dignity like he deserved. And he reciprocated that. And that's how you build the UAW and you keep moving forward. So in closing, in solidarity, vote Mark Gibson, Gibby, and God bless.
Thank you very much. So we are now finished with all the closing statements. Just some concluding remarks. I want to thank the candidates for, I think, a really intelligent, respectful exchange of views. I want to thank the audience, all the rank and file members who tuned in, for caring about democracy in the union and hearing the candidates' viewpoints and caring about the future of the union. I want to thank the UAW and the Monitor for sponsoring this debate. And I just want to say, I'm honored to have been asked to serve as moderator for a great union. In my book, I wrote about how Walter Reuther was the greatest union leader of the 20th century, and it's great to see democracy in action like this. And I hope more unions have debates like this, and I hope the UAW has more debates like this. And thank you very much. And I should say, there'll be a video recording of this debate available, as has been the case for the vice presidents and the secretary treasurer's debates. And you could find links to that on the Monitor's website. And thank you very much. And everybody have a good night.
Thanks, Stephen. On behalf of the Monitor, thanks to all the candidates, and especially to you, Stephen, for doing a great job
Thank you.
on all the